Well, we're live. Real Snacks Attack is here. Alice is here. Taymor's here. Pete's here. Zach Anderson and his burner counter here. We've got Jason Humphreys checking in from the UK. Abdul's here. House Butter is on the scene. Tim Van Newland, he's watching from work. This is TNF In Session, and I haven't even combed my hair. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, welcome. If you haven't listened to this show before, here in the Napzok Files podcast feed, this is a show recorded live on a unlisted private YouTube link with members from my Patreon support team in the audience. And I also take questions from my Patreon members, tier 3 or higher. If you're interested in being part of that, head to patreon.com/KevNapzok and join the team and get into that TNF boardroom. But we record this show live for YouTube, and it goes up raw, unedited. Me in my house with a t-shirt on. It's a dirty little t-shirt. My hair's not even combed, and I don't even have the camera set up. Nothing's set up the way I want to be, but that's because I moved into this great house, and after a month-long move, we're finally in, but one key piece of furniture has not yet made it into my studio here, which will allow me to kind of adjust some things and get some things really set up. So with that kind of caveat out there, and plus, actually, I'm dressed pretty interesting today for those watching on video. I did this undershirt is for a reason. A little bit later, I'm putting on a suit and a tie and heading to a music video shoot for a gentleman named Jim James, lead singer of My Morning Jacket. So look for that soon. I'll have information on when that comes out. Other people checking in live. Christian is here. And we got Sir Thomas the Tall, Thomas Risling, a regular contributor to Casterly Talk, the other podcast we do. So without further ado, I think it's time we get into the broadcast. We got some stuff today. As always, I like to do a couple sound checks for those watching live in YouTube, because sometimes the settings can get a little weird. Count Druku is here. You guys can hear that, right?
Of Morning Drive Media.
You hear all the music. We do our sound checks. It's like a rock concert. Tim Van Newland's ready to go. Levels are high. Everyone can hear everything. Oh, yeah. I did an entire show one night with the wrong setting. That's why we do it. And that's why we let you all see the behind-the-scenes stuff. So with everything recording, we're going to go. I mute my mic and the party begin.
The following is a presentation of Morning Drive Media.
Broadcasting from beautiful, spider-covered, mosquito-laden Burbank, California. This is the Napzok Files In Session, Episode 5, a show recorded live in front of a YouTube audience made up of my very special Patreon supporters. And I take your questions and even your calls. And it's a game to see if anyone can beat our friend DJ Snacks with a phone call. But we always love DJ Snacks, one of the co-hosts of the Movie Trivia Face-Off, checking in too. So a lot of fun, a lot of questions. The live chat is cooking. We got people like Will McLean, Thomas Tall, like I mentioned. Alice is here, Star Wars Alice. The aforementioned Real Snacks Attack, DJ Snacks, is also what we, or you just call them Snacks. You know? We got the Abdul and Taymor, the brothers Bahuda, and more. And I'll be referring to them during the show as they interact with me. This is a podcast recorded live, released later on the Napzok Files podcast feed. I want to take a special moment to handle some housekeeping as the house band plays off. I want to thank everyone who attended the Central Coast Film Society's presentation of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, this past weekend in my hometown of Rio Grande, California, up at the Clark Center for Performing Arts. We had a lot of fun. 317 people, in fact, showed up. Probably more, because my parents' tickets didn't count, right? Showed up to watch Star Wars with me and a lot of other cool people. And the 501st was there. We had a silent auction to raise money for the organization, which goes to great causes, including scholarships for young filmmakers in the Central Coast area of California. More things coming, and it was a great time to meet people. Book was available there, but the VIP ticket holders got a free copy of the book. We did a signing and got to talk with everyone there. I want to thank everyone for that. And speaking of the book, Why We Love Star Wars, The Great Moments That Built a Galaxy Far, Far Away, The audiobook is out. Be doing a bigger push later in the week and into next week, but the audiobook from Tantor Media and Mango Publishing is out, and I had the chance to record that, get in the studio for about 5 days. Good, fun, long days, 6-7 hours talking Star Wars, reading my own book, which I got sick of myself after a while, but I didn't get sick of Star Wars. A lot of fun. And the book kind of serves as a second edition because I got to make some changes and speak it in my voice. And I think you'll enjoy it, even if you already have a copy of the book. You can do the Audible thing, do an Audible trial, and you can help ForceCenter, my Star Wars podcast feed with Joseph Scrimshaw and Jennifer Lander. But if you don't have Audible, want a free trial, and want to get the book, go to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter and get my book, Why We Love Star Wars. That is that. At the end of the show, we'll talk about the high tier patrons and an event, a couple events coming up here. So as the chat room is first live in the chat is Will McLean asking, will there be a Black Widow movie where it's shaky cam version with Ken outside his house? Yeah, I Burbank, for whatever reason, I mean, spiders are everywhere. It's a jungle out there. But for whatever reason, Burbank, California has a reputation for being a breeding ground for Black Widows. Fun. That's fun. So it's been a war between me and the Black Widows and the Orb Weaver spiders, which are really beautiful creatures that make these beautiful, intricate, 3-foot wide webs right in front of your face. If they just kept those things high, I wouldn't have a problem with Orb Weavers. But then you can't leave or enter your house sometimes, because one of them I had to deal with it last night. Just was like, cool, I'm going to set up shop here right in front of your front door. I can't have that. And I try to relocate when I can, unless you're a Black Widow, then you're gone. But I had to take one down last night. I felt bad. I felt bad. So, Will, that is the real Black Widow movie coming out there. Jason Humphreys over the UK has already started the audio book, saying it's good, and he's 3 hours in. If you could take me for more than 3 hours, Jason, in your ears, that's good. I'm good with that. We also, I want to talk about my new soundboard here. Rodecaster Pro makes this show possible, and there's some new sounds. I'm trying to access it, though. Here. Oh, I don't want to press a button. The option went away, but I have sound effects I can get to eventually. I got a Wampa sound that I love. Jason says, in small doses. And that's the honesty we want here on TNF in session. Let's get to some questions. Pre-selected questions. Star Wars is on a lot of people's minds because of D23. The Star Wars news came out. Now I go in depth in other places. Of course, ForceCenter, me, Joseph, and Andres Cabrera went in deep 2 hours on all the news of the D23 event, the Obi-Wan series, Cassian, or the Clone Wars, Rise of Skywalker, Mandalorian. It's all there. If you want the deep stuff there, that's where I talk Star Wars in depth. Also on Collider Jedi Council. Also taped a great episode just last night with my friends at Black Series Rebels. That's Steve Ellis, Alex Backus, and their special guest, Alex Rubens, good friend of theirs. He is Jordan Peele's writing partner. He wrote the Twilight Zone episode that Kumail Nanjiani was nominated for, and he is a big Star Wars fan, canon junkie, really knowledgeable. We had a great show. It went well into the night. So I talk Star Wars a lot of places, but I think we're going to talk a little bit of Star Wars today because it is on people's minds. We've got a couple questions about it. A few things, actually. So we're going to start. Alice Wadsworth, she's in chat now. We call her Star Wars Alice. She says, how excited are you about the Obi-Wan series? She's over the moon. They could show Ewan gardening outside his house on Tatooine, and I would be thrilled. Obi, which I quickly read as Obla-di, Obla-da. I'm going to type this question from Pete Rich, also in chat right now. He says, while I don't necessarily think that Vader and Obi-Wan should have a scene together in the upcoming Kenobi series, I wouldn't mind maybe seeing what Vader's up to during this time, and any chance he gets screen time is a question for me. The Vader hallway scene from Rogue One has left me thirsty for more from my favorite Star Wars character. So let's start with those two questions from Alice and Pete, talking about the Obi-Wan Kenobi Disney Plus series. Maybe you're not a Star Wars fan, and maybe this isn't for you, but it's interesting just from a business standpoint. Star Wars with the Mandalorians going into live action TV. Disney Plus now takes Disney directly into the streaming wars, and they need this to win, and they're putting a lot of things on the table. If you would have told me 5 years ago, when all this really started happening, when Force Awakens is about to come out, that, hey, Star Wars will be on the TV, I'd be like, okay, what, an ABC live action show like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? No, on a Disney Plus streaming service. And it's going to be Ewan McGregor at one point coming to redo Obi-Wan. I would have been like, I want that in a theater. I want that big. And it was going to happen despite any denials. Trust me, it was going to happen. And for many reasons, it didn't happen. So now it's a series, and I couldn't be more happier. I'm really excited. I've known, I don't want to say no, none's a really strong word. I have heard for a long time now, almost a year, that this was the plans. And I wasn't just saying I heard like rumors. I had some people tell me, here's the plans, including the episode numbers and what's going to happen. And I don't like spoilers. I don't want to give that stuff out. So I sat on that. But I've been very excited because you don't know. Nothing's official until it's official, especially with Star Wars, with a lot of things changing there. So I've been excited, and now that it's here, I'm even more excited, Alice. I think this will be one of my favorite Star Wars things. I have to be open to what they're going to present. I have some strong ideas on what I think, and Joseph Scrimshaw does too, and we went into it on ForceCenter this past week, and we're really in line on what we think. I want this to be a turning of the chapter in Obi-Wan's life. Now, we know it's going to be set 8 years after Revenge of the Sith, which puts it about 11 years out from A New Hope. And that's an interesting time. That's where the Empire has taken control. Everything's going good for the Empire. They're putting their foot down on the galaxy, and the pain is being felt. We see that in Solo. And Solo would be set around the same time. It's kind of like right between that time period. And you see what happens. The shipping industry on Corellia is shut down. It's changed. It's ruined by the Empire. And that affects families. That affects people, individuals, and the business and the industry. And that trickles down, causing problems. And I think that's where I think a lot of Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, could be dealing with the galaxy. But it's about Obi-Wan. And I talk about it more detail, again, on ForceCenter, but also Black Series Rebels. So I don't want to step on my own words. But it's going to be a turning of the chapter. That's what I want. It's, to me, Obi-Wan looking back at the last 8 years on his mission to protect young Luke. And that's part of it. But I don't think he's accepted it in my mind. I think he can look out and go, wait, we failed. Jedi failed. The Republic became the Empire, and I left Anakin burning on the shore, and I didn't finish the job like I should have. And now I hear tell this Vader character's going all around the galaxy, which means, to Pete's question, I think you will see Obi-Wan go confront Vader one last time, because I think that's the story we need to see from Kenobi. As I said, it's a turning of the chapter. Can I go correct this wrong? And then he has to come to terms with the fact that he cannot correct his wrong. It's impossible to. And the mission now is about A New Hope. It now becomes him needing to focus on young Luke, the savior, potentially the savior of the galaxy, and how his belief goes from standing on the shores of Mustafar going, "You were the chosen one," to he now believes that's Luke. We see in Rebels. And that's what I want. Now, I have to release myself from those expectations if it's something else. I'm just excited to have it. And Ewan loved playing Obi-Wan. He loved being in Star Wars. He was definitely heralded as one of the best things about the prequels, whether you love them or not, right? That's agreed across the board. So I'm excited that he gets to come back, and it's the time to do it. That's why I'm excited. And to your question, Pete, I think a lot of people, when they hear it might include Darth Vader, which also means it might include Hayden Christensen, I think that gets some people excited, and some people, they're dubious, and it's not something they want. And I understand that. But it carries a lot of weight to the Star Wars story. And I don't think the critiques that I see tweeted out, because, man, tweets are always nuanced. It's creatively bankrupt is just wrong to me. The potential for it is great. Now, Pete's following up here live in chat saying, I'm just afraid there won't be enough time to visit Vader since Obi-Wan is the main focus. I understand that, and I don't think you're wrong, Pete, and I think we want it to be on Obi-Wan, and this isn't Vader's story. We've got a lot of the Vader comics, Charles Soule, his Vader series, and the other series that was going on, the earlier one. I think you get a lot of Vader, and now we got the Vader, the bounty hunters hunting Vader, all that stuff. There's a lot in the Vader and the Marvel comics right now about Vader. So I don't need it to focus on Vader as much and him going around the galaxy, but he needs to hang over the series, and I don't necessarily need it to be, Star Wars Obi-Wan versus Vader, the series. I want it to be Obi-Wan and him dealing with the weight that's on his soul, and also just having a few beers at Chalman's Cantina. I think that'll be fun too. But we'll see. Again, we don't know. It could be anything. It could be anything. So Alice follows up, says, want him to talk to Qui-Gon. Yeah, and I think that's very possible that we'll see that as well. We got John Mariano here in a pre-selected question. He says, "Hey Cam, well, I'm excited about Emo Ray and Token 3PO. He says, I know it's 000 because of Way with the Stars. Well, actually, it's not 000 in that trailer. It's 3PO, but I'm stuck in my ways. Anyways, Ray's crazy switchblade laser blade, switch laser blade. I see what he did. I can read. Ray's crazy switch laser blade had me thinking about modifications on tools of the trade. I used to cork my wiffle ball bats with newspapers. I think Albert Bell did that too. And play with tennis balls and using a lawn chair as a strike zone in my backyard. We had markers for singles, doubles, triples, home runs, and outs. What kind of backyard games did you play growing up?" And he swears, "I'm not baked, just fried. Thanks for listening to the rant." So we're going from Star Wars transitioning into backyard games, and this is something I actually got a lot to talk about. As a kid, I got to play with lawn jarts before they were banned. We banned those very easily after one kid was killed. But I had a set. My parents had a set, and they could be used as murder weapons. I get the ban. I used to play by myself. I was a solo kid, man. I would be out in the backyard, talking to not just imaginary friends, but like in a scene from Star Wars, scene from G.I. Joe, and I had my figures out. And I was fortunate for a few years to have a pretty cool big backyard as a kid. We eventually moved and we didn't have that, but I could set up my G.I. Joe figures in different scenes, pine tree setting. I could go to the forest. I could go to the desert. I could go in palm trees, and I would take pictures too with an old camera of my G.I. Joes. So that was kind of like the backyard games I'd play. A little baseball, but I'd play catch with myself. I give my father a lot of credit. And probably the neighbors. I used to throw a tennis ball against the side of our house, ka-clunk, 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 and play catch with myself. I didn't have a lonely childhood. It was a good childhood. I'm not worried about it. It's completely normal. But as far as backyard games growing up, yeah, well, when I high school, because that counts as growing up, me and my friends had our own pro wrestling league. Now you hear a lot of backyard wrestling feds. That was different. That's more organized, an attempt to take it serious and sometimes too serious. We had something called the Napomo Wrestling Federation because my friend Joel lived in Napomo, local to my hometown, just a couple minutes away. It's part of the Central Coast up there. So we'd get some mattresses, we'd get some bungee cords, and we'd make a ring. We'd come up with our wrestling characters, and we ran and we booked, we videotaped it. And those tapes exist. I have them somewhere in this house. I'm not going to share them with y'all. And we'd have a lot of fun just pretending to be several different wrestlers. We had different personas. And that counts as a front yard. It was in the front yard. And we would just do it for Joel's dog. Joel's dogs would watch. But eventually, his neighbors, we'd catch them sneaking peeks from the yard next to him. And they'd pull up chairs. And like it was like a grandmother would sit down with her grandkids and they'd watch us wrestle. And it was not great wrestling. We wanted to be pro wrestlers at the time, and I wanted to be a wrestling manager, which I eventually did do. It was kind of fun. We had an audience. We have some great videotapes. Alice in chat saying, "No share, maybe one day. Maybe as a Patreon exclusive. I will release some footage of the NWF, but I will need to convert it to digital because they're all VHS tapes. That'll be fun." At the same time, me and my friend Joel, our friend Casey, eventually went to work on SpongeBob SquarePants for about 8-9 years. And Joel's down here as a screenwriting teacher and everything. Cal State Northridge Valley College works at that school too. And you're going to hear him soon on Napzok Files, actually. We created a wiffle ball league. John talks about wiffle ball here. He had a yard, a big yard, but it was like more than a yard. It was like fields. And we went down to like the lower part of the house. The it was just all dirt, useless. And we made a baseball stadium out of pallets, which apparently he and my friend Casey had done when they were like in elementary school at another house. So we go collect pallets, probably steal them, probably legally. Well, that's what stealing is, right? Then we go around and we literally collect enough, and then we built a stadium, a fence, a little higher fence. We'd measure it. We had some foul poles. We made a pitching mound. We did 2-on-2 wiffle ball. Me and my friend Matty D, the voice you hear at the beginning of the Napzok Files, the following is the presentation. That's my friend Matty D, my former radio partner. He'd play. My friend Gavin and Casey, Joel, and I, and maybe some others, maybe my friend Blair. We'd pop in. We draft teams. We do Yankees, Dodgers. We'd play ourselves. And we didn't stuff the wiffle ball bat, John. But that was fun. Then later on, the same group, Joel, when we lived together in Northridge. And I've talked about it a little bit here, but I kind of want to find a way to bring this back. we created a game called Ruckus. And I've talked about it here before. And none of you, if you steal this damn game, I'll come after you. Not legally. I'll come after you with a baseball bat. I probably shouldn't have put that threat on air, but I did. We created this game on our back porch in our house, and we had a backyard. And what happened is we had a dartboard out there. And one day, we're flinging darts. Me, my friend Joel, and my roommate at the time, Brian. A few years older, and he eventually moved back home to Farmers Branch, Texas, outside Dallas. And we're playing darts. And I got a phone call or something. This is back in the days where like, you had to go, I got a phone call. I'm going to take this inside. Pick up the old handheld. And I come back out, and there's beneath the dartboard was a Nerf football. And I come back, and Joel and Brian are throwing the darts at the football. It's an old Nerf football, right? And they're like, the sound is great. Thunk, thunk, thunk. Like, this is kind of fun. They're throwing it. So then, and one of us, and this is how legends are born. I don't remember which one of us takes it and throws it out into our yard a ways, maybe 15, 20 yards away. And we start throwing. Hey, can you hit it? Can you hit it? And like a lot of folks, if you're kind of competitive or you like sports or anything, we started hitting the football, and well, that's great. You get a point. Hey, want to do first to 5? Like, who can hit the football 5 times? Okay, great. And then we was like, well, what if we each have like 6 darts, right? It's a 6 dart, one of those dart sets, a classic cheap little dart set, yellow, blue, green, red darts, right? We each give ourselves 6, 2 1-on-1 competition. Boom, thrown. Boom, thrown. All right, what if you get a round? We are alternating, but what if you get a round? You get 6 darts. What if you hit the football twice in the round? And someone, probably Joel, because he liked weird terms like this, said, well, you should proclaim it a ruckus. Like, what's that? He goes, if you hit twice and you proclaim a ruckus, you get to then grab those 2 darts and the other darts and throw all 6 at the same time at the football. And then if you hit it's first to 10 by this point. We're playing to 10. If you have 4 points and you have 6 and you hit all 6, game over. Like, that's pretty fun. But then I think Brian or myself said, well, probably Brian, he was a little more competitive than I at the time. I said, well, that's I like that. But I think if you do that and you win the game on a ruckus, I should get a chance to come back and either tie or win the game in some spectacular fashion. So at some point, like all great games, a lemon was added to it because we had a lemon tree. And Pete Rich is asking in chat, how far back were we standing? We have it somewhere. Have to find it in it's probably in a thumb drive or something. We had my friend Eric from my hometown who played it. We eventually would host, flash forward, we hosted tournaments. He made like an official ruckus, like rules, like a map. I got to find it somewhere. So what ended up happening is we pulled a lemon down and we put it about 3 feet behind the Nerf football, which is again on the ground. I'll say like 12 to 15 yards, not 20. And Brian says, if I hit that lemon, I win the game, even though you've hit a ruckus and you've won the game. If I hit the lemon, I win. So he tries, doesn't. So then we said, well, okay. Then we added, we did some more rules. And then we thought, all right, the lemon is fair game because the lemon in life should always be fair game. If you get up to 5 points, just however you do it with the darts, even if you declare a ruckus, and you could forget to declare a ruckus. And then at one point, I think we added a steal of a ruckus. If you proclaim ruckus first, you get to steal it from your opponent. We wrote these down, but the basic rules. Count Druki, you're right. I have to plant a lemon tree in the new backyard. I have fig trees. I guess figs would work, but they don't last as long. I just have to go to the store and buy some lemons. We determined if you get to 5 points, the lemon opens up. What that means was the lemon was fair game. And if at any point you hit the lemon, you win the game, but your opponent has a chance to hit the lemon in response and tie the game and keep it going. And that was kind of the basic rules for a while. And at one point, we got another Nerf football because you can't have enough Nerf footballs. and we hung it from the tree, the lemon tree. Actually, the lemon tree was to the left. It was some other tree, just regular garden variety tree, sturdy, an oak. And we suspended the second Nerf football about a foot behind the lemon. And then you have the Nerf football on the ground, the lemon, and then the suspended Nerf football. And that was open, but it was 2 points. So you could go for it. You could go big. You could go big or go home and keep trying to hit that suspended lemon. And if you got to cancel a robocaller here. If you hit it, you got double points. And then you could declare a ruckus right away. And that was kind of the basic rules. So what ended up happening is we would host tournaments. A lot of my friends at the time, a lot of my work friends, a lot of my friends from my fantasy baseball league, we would host tournaments like on a Saturday. And each player got to represent a country. Like it was an international ruckus tournament. And we had a tournament. We'd barbecue food. We play this game. And I still have some of those friends. My friend Jay Arrett, who's been on the show, Napzok Files, a few years ago, and he's going to come back on again too, talking music. We talked music a lot in the early days of Napzok Files. He was a good ruckus player. My friend Corey, who I still co-run a fantasy baseball team with after 20 years. He's a natural athlete. He could outdrive me with a sand wedge. Great ruckus player. And then we moved. And then ruckus died. But now where I am, I think I have a backyard that has potential. And I think Joel does too at his house. And I think it might be time to bring back some form of ruckus. So, John, you asked me that question. That was a great question because it got me thinking about ruckus. Next question here. Eric Tassoni says, "Hi, Ken. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the special presentation of Star Wars. You were part of this last weekend due to vehicle issues. Sorry to hear that, Eric. We did miss you. I had a chance to meet Eric and his wife at a live event before, and great folks there. What was a personal highlight for you about the event and the weekend? As always, thanks for all the great content." I think there's twofold things. I think, I don't mean this isn't cynical, but it's like it's commonplace at this point in my career now where I can go to a live event and meet people and have a lot of fun and with supporters and listeners. I experienced that. Very fortunate to experience that a lot. Comedy shows, schmoedowns, whatever it is. But my parents don't really get to see that side of it. And so they were blown away by it in a way that makes you feel good. And they were happy and proud. And I was happy they were happy and proud. That was fun. And seeing some high school friends who I hadn't seen in 5, 10, 20 years, to see and interact with them, including my friend Eric, who was the one who wrote those ruckus rules down. That was fun. But the event wasn't about me at all. I think 20% of the people in attendance knew who I was in any way, shape, or form, despite it being my hometown. They just didn't know. So it was about Star Wars, and I love Star Wars. That's why I wrote a book called Why We Love Star Wars. And to see all generations represented, to see some people like, I remember seeing this in the drive-in in 77, to some people who had never seen Star Wars in any way, shape, or form on the big screen, including the special edition releases in 97. That was fun. 501st was there playing around, dressed as stormtroopers, a biker scout, an imperial officer doing their 501st thing. And just, that was the highlight. Looking around and going, this thing I love continues to inspire people. It continues to bring people out. And it's not about any name attached to the event. It is simply about Star Wars, and I love that a lot. So, Eric, there'll be more. I mean, there's a lot more Star Wars movies to show. So, that's what it was. Going back to live chat, Real Snacks Attack says NRL, National Ruckus League. I mean, I think you're speaking, the Lord's truth there, Snacks. I think we can do this. And Snacks adds, parents can see what I do professionally. Had to be the highlight. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, exactly. And my parents were supposed to help me sell the books, and I think they got a little more interested in what was going on, and I understood it because it was really cool to see their quiet, shy son just holding court with a lot of friends and fans and supporters and readers and all that kind of stuff. So it was great. Sorry, my camera angle's low for those watching because I haven't unpacked my laptop stand that I use. And there's some more pics coming. Grace took some great shots. She's a great photog, so more of those coming. Me and my bald head signing a book. Next question, Chad Benefield says, what what has been the biggest? I really, really like this moment once you got moved in together. Conversely, what has been the biggest? Really, will have to get used to this moment. All right, yeah, Grace and I moved in, and that's the next stage in any relationship, right? Big one, first time for me. And I'll tell you what, I really, it's just the feeling of comfort with two dogs around and coming back from a long day and just knowing that this is what you got. You got a nice, comfortable family waiting for you. It's those little things that I enjoy and continue to enjoy. The house is a great location. It's an older house built in 1920. So that comes with a set of problems, but I just love the calmness. There's a great song by Dan Wilson of Semisonic called Easy Silence. And that to me is what's going on right now. The world's crazy loud and screaming and news and bad vibes. I want to come home to an easy silence, and that's what I have here. As far as conversely, I have to get used to this moment. Well, it's the new rules I have to live under. There's some new rules. I can't display a lot of things in the bathroom, like my razor blades have my shaver, my Dollar Shave Club blade has to go hide. That's tough, but I'll get used to it, Chad. Great question. Jason Humphreys, who's live in chat right now. Jason out there in the UK says, "What's the most fun holiday you've ever had? And will I ever get that elusive passport?" I'm going to have to get that damn passport. I had it all set up. I actually had the form filled out, printed 2 years ago. 2 years ago. That's how bad I am. I went like this because I'm thinking of the UK. Not to you. That's not to you, Hump. I had it printed out, filled out. I just had to pay it, process it, all those things. And then I moved. That's the first time I moved recently from Studio City to Burbank to my own place. And I was like, deal with it after. After it's been 2 years and I moved again. So I got to get on that. The most fun holiday I've ever had, I'll tell you, pretty simply, pretty easy. Know what it is. It is the first holiday I got to experience after leaving my retail security director job. After working that job for 17 years, you don't get holidays. You don't get Thanksgiving. You don't get Christmas because those are big shopping holidays for malls in the mall environment. And in the mid 2000s, when I was a security director of the original Los Angeles Farmers Market, which is the property on which the Grove at Hollywood sits on, big shopping center, lifestyle center, we didn't have the holidays weren't as intense. So we got to experience it in a different way. I didn't have, super big holidays, but I got to enjoy a little bit of it. But the main ones, working at this big mall in Northridge, Black Fridays, the last Black Friday I worked 31 straight hours. I'd sleep in my office for about 2 days. And, even on the good times, it's overwhelming. The crowds, intensity, it's 3 a.m. There's thousands upon thousands of people running around, shopping, acting crazy, big fights, a lot of problems like that. A lot of that kind of went. It was the first one in 2015. I'd started my job with ScreenJunkies, and I got to go home for Thanksgiving. And it was a simple Thanksgiving. I think my sister came up. My aunt at the time, my aunt was living next door at the time. My parents were there, and it wasn't like some wonderful, we're all singing and drinking eggnog or anything. It was just a simple Thanksgiving with some pre-bought food. My mom's like, "I'm not going to cook this year. Going to the store." And on Thanksgiving Day, we got to go walk on the beach. I live near Pismo Beach. And I just remember thinking, again, it wasn't like some crazy, wonderful holiday memory. I just remember looking around going, it's Thanksgiving, and I'm with family on a beach, not dealing holiday shops. It was just a huge sale of emotion. Andy Ortiz, who always has some great baseball questions, has this great question. What is your approach to an interview where the person you are interviewing does not have any broadcasting experience and does not know how to be a guest? So that's a great question. I actually love that. And when Humps follows up his own question saying, "I've worked a couple of New Year's days, not good with a hangover." Yeah, I guess so. I wouldn't be. I wish I worked Black Fridays drunk. Regarding this question, occasionally I will have a guest here in the Napzok Files that is an experienced broadcaster, podcaster, or even an entertainer. Or they're in entertainment, but they do other things. And when I say, and I've said this before in other places, some people just don't know how to be guests. It's a skill, and it's a type of performance. And that's why Josh McCougan and I discovered that we work well together, as I would go on his show, and I was a good guest. I think I am. It's something, it's a skill I have. I'd listed on a resume, can be an entertaining guest on your podcast. A lot of people feel that you have to be just too much yourself, and I'm answering honestly and being myself, but it is a performance, and I don't think people perform. So when you see that situation as an interviewer, you realize it, you have to recognize it, and you have to just go at their pace. You don't want to bury them. You don't want to make them more uncomfortable. If you sense someone is uncomfortable and just doing a normal interview, then you don't want to dig deeper. You don't want to poke, try to pull it out of them. Let them reveal things at their pace. And don't worry about what the quality of the show or the interview will be. Am I getting good stuff? You're doing this one-on-one interview. That's your performance. This is theirs. And you got to work with that. I do wish more people would take the time to learn to study how to just be a guest. I had up 5 years ago digital media based off sports media, where 4 people, 5 people, 3 people are at a desk talking about a thing. And that's great. And I love that. But a lot of people need to learn how to pundit as well. Pass the ball around, talk, speak in sound clips. Try not to monologue. Realize when you are. I think those are keys. All right. You guys are talking. Sir Thomas the Tall slowly raises his hand. Thomas, you're working with us on Casterly Talk for a reason. Your calls into Daily Thrones showed me you have something to give in the world of broadcasting. So, quite frankly, that's why I pulled you over. Thoughtful, smart, intelligent. Don't talk bad of yourself. A real snacks attack, who's got radio experience himself, says, Thomas, you're great at running the show. So, and you're a great guest too. So there you go. I love that question, Andy. Good one. Final select the question here. We'll start going to the chat room and maybe even take some calls here. Have you ever, Tamor's in chat, have you ever been situated for someone close to you or someone you thought was close to you, and when it came time for them to repay the favor, they didn't come through? How'd you handle it? If not, how would you go about dealing with something like this? Well, you break their kneecap. You Kathy Bates them from misery. You just put their ankles between a nice brick, and then you hammer them. Right? Is that not right? Should I not say that on a? Is that no? Oh, that sounds bad. Okay. No, let's answer. Look, it depends, Tamor. If it's a close family friend and the case by case way I approach life. Everyone in chat's pretty happy about me wanting to break ankles. It's how you approach it, right? So, yes, if you loan someone $1,000 and then a couple years later you're the one broke and they don't come through on that, well, maybe they don't have the money, maybe they can't. I don't know. I don't know the situation. But I say, like, in terms of my industry, I think you have to release your personal. I'm not saying Tamor has with this question is some like personal ambition or ego to get paid back, but like I have started a lot of people for their first time jobs or brought them over to do a podcast at ScreenJunkies or something that they haven't been given a chance to do. And I'll campaign for the people I feel are good broadcasters or are good guests or deserve that experience. When I say deserve, I mean, just like you got skills and let's use them. And when I can, I will help. And then things changed in my career where I was the one needing to be booked. I was the one who didn't have the platform other than Napzok files and that kind of stuff, but like bigger YouTube platforms to control my own destiny. And some people have absolutely 100% returned that favor. Some haven't. And I think I have to be okay with that because I shouldn't book someone, bring someone, or do a favor for someone with the idea that I'm going to bank that one, that I'm going to hold on to that. And I'm, again, not saying Tamor's doing that or anyone listening is doing that. I'm just saying I think I just think I to approach it. So that's how I would approach it. Sometimes I give too much of myself and don't get a lot back in return. And sometimes I get burned over and over. That's that happens, and be wary. Know your value. Know your value and accept nothing less. Right? That's a pretty valuable thing to have running through your head a lot. Or if you're Norm Macdonald from the movie Dirty Work, don't take crap from no one. No, but I think It's like as I'm talking, I'm looking over at a sideshow collectible of Obi-Wan Kenobi that they gifted me for appearing on their show, and like you got to be like Obi-Wan out there in the desert doing your job. And I try to return it too, case in point. So I just got booked on the Sideshow Collectible show, Sideshow with Jeff May, friend of mine that I met about last year, comedian, podcaster, nerd, all that good stuff. So he brought me on that show. Great format, great platform for me to talk about my book. I'm absolutely going to make sure I bring him on the Napzok Files or something that I can in my control that I can do. So that's how it works, and it doesn't always work though. And if it had been the other way, and I booked myself on booked Jeff on the Knapsack Files, and he didn't bring me on Sideshow, and he wouldn't because he's a great dude. I have to live with that. I have to live with that. All right, so that is the pre-selected questions. Those questions come from people on my Patreon page, tier 3 or higher. Get in if you want to check in there, and tier 5 or higher gets to watch the show. So that's that. Rob Biller is here, checking in late. Said found the chat room finally. Wouldn't show up going through Patreon. Okay, we're going to work on that, Rob. Rob, you're here now, and the show can always be listened to later on, the audio version on the Napzok Files podcast feed, and then this will stay up on my YouTube channel. We're almost done here. I got to get ready to go to this music video, but I do want to talk to you guys live in chat, and then also take some phone calls as I make sure that system is up and running. So let me make sure the Google Voice is going. You have access to the number if you are a Patreon supporter at a certain tier. You know the tier because you should have the number. So the phone lines will be open, but Rob says, love hearing your audiobook. Came out yesterday on Audible. So we go. Okay, we got a call. Let's do this call. I love this. You hearing that? Let's do it. All right. Welcome to TNF In Session, caller. What's your name and what do you got?
This is Tamor from New York.
It's Tamor. What's up, Tamor? You're checking in. We love hearing your voice. What's going on, my friend?
Did I beat Snacks?
You beat Snacks. You win a prize. You beat DJ Snacks.
Okay. My question is that your book, Why We Love Star Wars, I know it has essays from all over. So what I want to ask is, do you need to have like specific knowledge of like everything with Star Wars, or just like you can go into it with just watching the movies, or do you also need like more Rebels or some novels to get into that?
Yeah, that's a great question, Tamor. He's talking about my book, Why We Love Star Wars. It's 100 essays on the greatest moments in Star Wars, and I think it would help to have knowledge of a lot of the things in new canon. I read a lot about the video games and novels and comic books and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think you need that. I think the book is written to be read in small chunks or listened to in small chunks, like Jason Humphreys, the Hump, said in chat earlier. And I think you can find what you enjoy, and maybe you don't want to be spoiled. I had someone tell me, even one of the editors reading the book, came to one of the chapters. It was a chapter about something in Star Wars Rebels, saw the title and said, I cannot edit this chapter. I want to watch this myself. And another editor had to come in. So even behind the scenes, that was the case. But you don't need to, each essay doesn't connect to the essay before. In fact, I intentionally wrote some of the essays repeat little beats and information. I remember had to take out that Han Solo was my favorite Star Wars character like 20 times. I think 5 of them made in, but I think 25 times I wrote Han Solo's my favorite character because I wanted each essay to stand on their own, Tamor. So I think that's a great question for those on the fence about purchasing the book. You can find what you love in it and connect. So thank you, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, I got the audiobook and I started listening to it, but I just want to be on the lookout for. I recently started getting into Clone Wars, and I want to go into Rebels, and I want to go more into the Star Wars lore. So I just want to be spoiled, but I'll definitely start listening to the essays that I can and take it that way.
Yeah, look, I'd skip some of the Clone Wars ones until to read it. But Tamor, great call. I appreciate it. Thanks for your question through Patreon as well. Get to work out there. It's a working day out there in New York. All right?
All right, yeah, will do.
Tamor there. So the phone lines are open for right now. We're also taking questions here from the live chat made up of my Patreon supporters. Oh, I love hearing that. Love hearing that. Calls coming in. You're on TNF in Session. Who we got?
Good evening or night, wherever you may be in the temporal time continuum.
It is DJ Snacks, Real Snacks Attack, checking in there. One of the voices behind the movie Trivia Face Off, a fan-run league that is actually where a lot of talent is being now. Future event. What's up, Snacks?
Hey, thank you for the love for the movie Trivia Face Off. I very much appreciate that, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
Good show today so far. I'm curious. You mentioned that you and Josh might be doing something before the Arizona Live event. Did that ever come to fruition?
Great call. Great question, Snacks. Unfortunately, no. Josh and I were going to take the afternoons with Josh and Ken on the road to Arizona the night before the Schmodown event on September, was that 14th in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, at this time, I'm not going, number one. And two, we couldn't find a venue. There was many possible choices. Josh put some calls, but it's a college football weekend. It was perhaps maybe too late for some of these venues. Unsure of what we were proposing, and we couldn't get a yes. And it just, again, at this time, I'm not going to the event for the Schmodown. So, with no guarantee of having a live event, I just couldn't make the trip. So, unfortunately, it's sad news, but we're going to work on doing them elsewhere and doing them not even connected to the Schmodown, so we could get back out to Arizona and Mellow Mushroom Pizza Snacks.
I guess Josh and I'll just have to eat that mellow mushroom pizza without you this time.
Yeah, Josh is definitely
slightly disappointed you're not coming, but I will see you spectacular, I'm sure.
Absolutely, in December, I believe that is. I don't remember when these events are, but yes, Movie Trivia Schmodown.
December 7th.
Big events. So Snacks, yeah, absolutely. I'll see you, give you a hug, a handshake, and we'll share that slice.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your show, sir.
Thank you. DJ Snacks, always checking in, so the phone lines are back open again. I know we had competing calls. Someone else was trying to get in there. Will McLean saying, cough, Orlando, cough. I do not, at this point, I'm not going to Orlando either, or New York. So sorry, team. All right, another call coming in. We love that sound. Welcome to TNF in Session. Who you got? What's your name?
We got Zach Anderson up in Wisconsin.
Zach Anderson calling in, and your sound quality is improved from the last time you called in, Zach. Zach is up there in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I got out of that cave.
Good for you. You moved. Good for you. Love that there. Zach, what's your question today?
Well, I always like to bring it to baseball every once in a while. This question may seem like kind of an obvious answer, but I could have arguments on either side. Which do you think is the better way to watch a baseball game, in person at the stadium or on TV? Because I can see arguments for both sides.
Zach, this is a great question. Zach's a big baseball fan. Go Brewers, but really we all know the answer is go Yankees. So I love Major League Baseball. I love baseball. I love all baseball. I'll watch baseball. I've gone to like minor league games and all that kind of stuff too. So independent league games. I've even watched my friends play softball in Burbank rec leagues. All right, I like watching the game. I think it's the answer is actually it's split. It's both. It's different at home. It's been a long time since I've sat and watched a game from pitch one to the final pitch. But I used to do that all the time, and I love that. And to those that say the game's boring, I can understand that critique, but it's a pastoral game, like they say, and despite what they do to try to speed it up and everything, it needs to take its time. I loved watching games at home. Life happens. I just don't have as much time. Going in person is fun, but it's a different thing. It depends on who you're with and where you're sitting. I got to admit, I was spoiled years ago. I got to go when I was working as a security director at the farmers market in Los Angeles, a company owned by the historic Gilmore family, one of the first big families in Los Angeles in the 1800s. Family still owns it. They had box seats at Dodger Stadium. When I say box seats, they had those home plate seats. Those seats that when you see a Dodger game, there's all these people sipping wine and eating, tri-tip steak behind home plate. So I got to go once or twice a year to those seats because they were client seats. And I tell you, once you experience a game like that, it's hard to go back to steerage on Titanic. And it spoiled me. I was in line behind Steve Garvey getting Dodger dogs. Jeff Garland, Christina Aguilera was there. Tom Cruise one time. Magic Johnson, because he's involved with the Dodgers. You'd see him all the time. Tommy Lasorda. you're rubbing shoulders with times the late great Frank Robinson. I got to say hi to Frank Robinson. Once you experience that, not everyone gets to experience that. I realize that. It doesn't mean you can't have fun elsewhere, and that getting a beer and a dog in the stands isn't fun. I haven't been to a game since, and that's disappointing. I got to force myself to go because it's not a bad experience anywhere else. It's a different experience. It's a fun experience, and it all depends, Zach, on who you go with. And I bet you'd be a fun guy at a baseball game.
Oh, absolutely. I know I've been to 7 games so far this year and working on my 8th. So
there you go. Go Brewers indeed. Zach, thanks for the call. And keep doing your stand-up. Send me some more tapes so I can give you some notes.
All right. Appreciate it, Ken.
All right. That's Zach from Wisconsin. And we are about done here. You guys are having some fun in chat. Sorry, Rob. Go see the live event in Orlando. I'm not 100% sure that I'm not going to the Orlando event. But as of right now, I don't think I'll be on a lot of the Schmodown road trip events from now to the end of the year. Just want you guys to know because I don't want you to get your hopes up and not have me there. I wouldn't want to do that. So I don't have any answers. Alice, you're asking about Atlanta. I don't even know about that event. So I just don't, I'm not going to New York, not going to Arizona as of right now, and not going to Orlando. So we'll see. Tim's asking, Tim Van Newland, when am I going to be streaming on Twitch again? Almost. So the nice thing is my PlayStation 4 is up and running, of course, but also it's plugged in directly. No Wi-Fi. It's plugged in directly, so the quality will be better when I stream from the PS4. And then I got the laptop. The gaming laptop is getting ready to go. I mean, it's ready to go. I just got to finish my studio. And then I'll probably do some PS4 streams up and running, maybe even as soon as Sunday. I miss doing it. I miss this type of environment, hanging out. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Ken Napzok if you haven't already. And I'll be back up and running and doing more things there. So Tamor says, we, meaning along with John Mariano, want to take you to a Yankee game in New York. Hey, long Yankee fans, seen a lot of Yankee games, never saw one in New York. Never got to go to the old stadium. A regret I do have. So maybe it's time to go to the new Yankee Stadium. We're about done here on TNF in session. So I'm close phone line. So don't worry. We'll get you next time. This has been a lot of fun as always. I love doing this. This is one of my favorite things to do. We do this about once a month, and it may be more. Might do some special events, streams for the general public too as well. But we love recording these in front of the people that make things possible for the Napzok Files and more. That's on patreon.com/Ken Napzok. Used to be the Napzok Files. Now it's Ken Napzok in general. I especially want to thank all my high-tier patrons in the TNF boardroom, but I focus on the broadcast on the executive producer tier, which includes Real Snacks Attack. You heard him on the call here. Thomas Risling, listen to him excellently broadcasting on Casterly Talk, Lethal, Logan X, Matthew Simon, Bador, Matt Thompson at TMP Media Productions. We got some charity events coming up. We're going to be talking about that. Tamor and his brother Abdul and his brother Rafe, they're part of the boardroom executive producer tier. Donna Long, Nathan Ovendale, who I met at the event in my hometown. First rate Nate is first rate indeed. Zach Anderson, who you just heard, and Ty Schallenberger, one of my oldest friends. He never played Ruckus, though. We got to get him out on the Ruckus field. Been a lot of fun talking to you all. I want to make you aware of some live events that I myself am going to be at. Locally, Millennium Pro Wrestling is coming back, and they got a new venue in Northridge, California. Used to do a lot of things with Millennium Pro Wrestling, but I'll be back for their opening event on September 6th, Friday night. You can go to their website or Facebook page. Just look up Millennium Pro Wrestling or go to kennapzok.com at the shows and events page. I will be there selling some books, signing some books, but most importantly, just watching some fun, real simple, straightforward professional wrestling, and maybe down the line do more again with MPU. Going on, me and Mark Ellis and possibly Josh Kuga. I think we're working out the details, but definitely me and Mark Ellis will be doing stand-up comedy in Washington, D.C. That's right, Washington, D.C., the nation's capital. I've never been there, but we're going to be there on November 16th this year. 2 shows, 7:30 and 10 p.m. at the Comedy Loft. Mark Ellis will be headlining, and I'll be doing my set there as I get back into the stand-up comedy world. Look for that. Again, go to markellislive.com for tickets or kennapzok.com for information and links. All right. We're almost out of here. This has been a lot of fun. TNF in session. You can watch it later on YouTube. Listen to it on the Napzok Files podcast feed. A lot of fun. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody. Bye. Bye, everyone on the stream. Goodbye.